What's up, guys? This is Luke from Luke's Garage Gym. Bring you guys a brand new video. And in today's video, I'm gonna do a review of the Ritfit M1 multifunctional power rack. Could this be a right fit for you guys in your home gym? Let's see and find out. Hope you guys enjoy. All right, guys, before we get started on the review of this M1 from Ritfit, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to push this video across the world, baby. My name is Luke from Luke's Garage Gym. I do home gym reviews, tips, and tricks, show that you out there can get jacked in your home gym, baby. So today's review is on another Ritfit piece. Now, this is my third review with them. I've done their Smith machine. I've also done their leg press hack squat machine. Now the M1 multifunctional power rack. So before we talk specs, you have a lot of versatility in this rack for a budget price of a little over $1,000. Now keep in mind, guys, this review, I'm just talking about the power rack. Okay, the plates, the bench, and the bar, you can get as all separate, because I know I get a lot of questions about that. So that is obviously more money to add on. So this machine is a little over $1,000 for all the versatility. And then today I want to talk about specs, the functionality of the cables, the Smith machine, the front of the rack, the pull-up bar, the dip bar, tell you my pros and cons and my thoughts at the end of, is this something that could be right for people out there in the home gym? So let's get started. Let's just talk about some specs of this piece from Ritfit. So taking a closer look at this, guys. This is a 2x2 14 gauge steel rack. The rack length, including the Smith bar, is 79.1 inches with the rack width of 68.1 inches with the rack height being 85.3 inches with an overall footprint of 22.46 square footage and a maximum weight capacity of the entire thing can hold up to 1,500 pounds with 1 inch in its upright hole sizes. So talking about some of those just dimensions real quick. So I'm pretty sure, now this is just assumption that they are saying that the whole thing can take up to 1,500 pounds, which again, no one's getting to that point. If you can get to that point, I'm going to tell you right now, click off this video. Do not buy this. This is not for you. Couple things, all right? First thing is the height. Okay, 85 inches is pretty standard height, I would say, for probably most garages. Now, basements, you get a lot of issues with basements because you have lower ceilings. So, unfortunately, this would not work for you. Now, 14 gauge steel, let's talk about that. So, if you're new to this channel or new to looking at home gym products, 14 gauge steel is thinner gauge steel. Now, is 14 gauge steel right for some people? Absolutely. Now, if you are an advanced power lifter, I honestly, this is my opinion, don't buy this. This is not for you. It's not, okay? Because you're looking at something that, compared to for instance, like a Vesta fitness rack that I have on the side here, that's 11 gauge steel. That's meant for people, advanced lifters, pushing the boundaries with their lifts. Okay, someone who's going to be squatting over 500 pounds, which is very uncommon, but there are people out there, or benching well over in the 400s, which again is uncommon, but for some people they are out there. So this is not for you. These racks are for beginners, people trying to start the home gym, trying to figure out, is this for me? I want something that has a lot of versatility. I don't have a ton of space. It's for those people. And I do think there is some value in this with the Ritfit M1. So talking weight capacities of the different pieces they have on this rack. So let's talk the front of the rack here. Your J hooks and your spotter arms can hold up to 575 pounds, which is plenty for most people. Now, I'm not gonna lie, these spotter arms are not they're pretty short. I would like to see if they could extend this more, just because of the fact that the longer the spotter arm, the more safety you have, the longer it is. Depending on the lift, you have to drop it. Okay, if you drop it and it misses it, it's going to slam the ground. Okay, who knows what will happen if that happens. It's just to prevent injury. Maybe it'd be nice to have a little bit of a longer safety spotter. That's just what I've noticed that could be improved. These J hooks now aren't perfection, but they will get the job done, in my opinion. So the Smith machine, if we talk about this can hold up to 575 pounds. So kind of just showing you guys, essentially, you have to lift off, and then you twist the bar, and it unhooks, and you twist again, and it hooks on to the little side, I don't even want to say side pieces they have here for the Smith machine. And I'm going to add and say one thing. When I did the review of their $400 Smith machine, I could not stand how they just had the little holes in like the upright posts to latch it in. Half the time it wasn't latching in. I like that you have these beams, these open spaces here to be able to latch it on when you're finishing your lift. I just feel like it's just load safer, way safer compared to the other part. Just my opinion and my experience. And then talking about both sides of your cable systems here, each side can hold up to 420 pounds, which honestly, that's a lot. That is. But again, keep in mind, it's half the weight that you actually have on each side. But still, that's a lot of weight. That is a huge bonus to have with that. And I mean, 575 pounds on the Smith machine, that's plenty, again, for most people. So if we're talking to the pull-up bar here, this can hold up to 460 pounds with this pull-up bar. Now, one thing that, after using this and having other pull-up bars in my gym, I just am not a huge fan of not having some sort of grip up here, because without that grip, especially once it hits the summertime, as much as I'm really trying my best to avoid moisture in the garage, you're going to get that, and then you're going to be up here, and what happens if you slip? You fall on the ground because there's no grip on this. Like, even the slightest little knurling up here, some knurling can give you better grip strength, especially if you're trying to push like weighted pull-ups. That's something that they could be adding. I definitely think that's pretty easy and very inexpensive add, that I think they could do. And then the back side here, they have their dip bars, which we unload this. You can see that this is definitely new. You have to do your dips on the back side here. And then it connects to this beam here. And there's holes where you can connect it to do dips, which is honestly, never really seen that, because they've always had it to where it's up on the front here, but they don't have that because this is too wide. It wouldn't work. It's definitely awkward. I'm not going to lie. That's something that'd be nice to see if it was up here on the front. I don't know if you could try to create different handles that makes it wider so you can have a better experience in the front of the rack doing dips. But again, that's something to add. That is where you would do that exercise, and definitely different. And then on the back side too, you have 6 weight horns here to add your different weights, which, I mean, that's nice to have. You can hold, I want to say it's a little over 200 pounds you can hold on each of the weight horns, so that, I have my Ritfit bumper plates on here. You can add more because, again, keep in mind stability. If you have more weight on the back side, the more stable it is, if you're worried about that. Because right now, is there a little bit of instability? A little bit. Do I have a ton of weight on the backside? No, but I mean, if you were to add, I can go grab a 45, throw it on here on each side. That'll really, really avoid more of that instability that this rack has. So just 2 more features before we start talking about and testing all the different features of this rack. On the backside, I really, really like this. I think this is a very good idea, is the storage on the backside. There's hooks behind this Ritfit sign so you can stack all your different attachments. So they sent me these attachments, which I really like. These attachments are great. Okay, you got your curl bar, you got your tricep push down, you got your V handle here for doing rows, your rope, your standard rope, your handles, your plastic handles. It's cheap, but again, they'll get the job done. I really like this assortment back here of attachments with how you can hang it up. I think that's very space saving. You don't have to get a basket or leave it laying around. And honestly, unless you are banging the weight down when you're done, they stay up there too, which is, I do like that. I think that's nice. And then down here, they have this this is where you just hook your feet in if you're wanting to do like, a low row. Or you could, if you want, you could hook your feet in here and do a Nordic curl, but You might have to, if you can't do a full one, you might have to set up maybe a box or something like that to progress. But I mean, that's a nice added feature with this rack. So let's talk about testing first the cable system. So again, each side can hold up to 420 pounds with this 2-to-1 ratio. One thing to keep in mind is you have to put, which is, again, I wish we actually had conversations about this, which I'll show you guys what we were talking about. Getting this at a slight angle, so when you slide the weight on, it doesn't fall off. You don't have to worry about clips. So you have to put on these spring clips, which you have to get on your own. It wasn't provided. I did get 2 clips with the bar separate, but spring clips are cheap and fine. Get on Amazon. So you have to put these spring clips on here. You could try without them, but I worry is they're going to slide off and fall off. So the clips are there for that, which they had the same thing with their Smith machine bar. You had to clip it on and the weight fall off, which is definitely, something that I wish they could work on too. But I mean, it's not the end of the world having to do that. It's just a little inconvenient. But overall, let's talk about how it feels. So for me, when I'm doing cable exercises, this is how I am. I keep it very basic. I do things like seated rows. I do things like cable flies. For shoulders, I do shoulder raises. For more back, I like to do a lat pull down. Or legs, I don't do a ton of leg work with cables, mainly upper body work. Like I also do biceps. I also do triceps. So my experience with this, and obviously when I'm testing this and show you guys clips, I'm using the weight that it works for me. I've been working out for almost 18 years, so you can take it, you think I'm weak or not, but for most people, this is probably moderate to heavier weight that I'm putting on this machine to show you guys. And honestly, the cables are pretty freaking smooth, dude. Like, I'm pretty impressed. Now, what are 2 things that I think they could also work on after I was doing all those exercises is I was thinking that, man, this would be such a quick and easy fix. Adding aluminum pulleys to the pulley systems. And I want to tell you something. They told me that they are working on adding that from our feedback. And I give Ritfit props for working on things that us as reviewers are wanting to see improved at not a very high cost. Adding those aluminum pulleys to the pulley system gives it a more smooth feel. Nylon pulleys are very cheap. Will they get the job done? Sure, but aluminum makes a massive difference, and it's quieter, it's smoother, it feels a lot better with those. But I mean, still with what they have here, it's still pretty solid. I mean, I was putting on a pretty decent amount of weight, especially on rows, and it felt pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. So overall, not bad on that with the cables. So let's talk about how the Smith machine part of this rack feels, which is a huge component besides obviously the cables. So the Smith machine bar, I am a huge fan of how, again, you have the beams on each side to latch on compared to the upright holes. Okay, I feel a lot safer, again, mentioning that before, but doing my exercises that I'm showing you guys. Bench press. Honestly, bench press feels pretty smooth. With these guided rods, these steel rods here, I would suggest adding some silicone spray. I'm not obviously the strongest guy in the world, but trying to put as much weight on as possible to show you where I'm at. It feels pretty smooth, and the latching on, latching off is pretty seamless. Very surprised with that. 575-pound weight capacity. I'm not getting close to that. That felt fine with the weight I was doing and comfortable with on bench. When it comes to squatting, I don't squat as much as I used to, but I could throw a couple plates on and try to do a few reps, and it felt pretty good. Again, the latching on too, I didn't feel like this thing, I didn't feel not safe. And the thing is too, they have the safety features on the bottom here. You can latch it up to wherever you're at so that, if you get fatigued, you can't latch it on, you're pretty gassed out, you can let it go. And it does stay intact. It doesn't feel like it's going to jam through the ground and just break the whole machine. So kudos to Ritfit with that feature too. Also too, with doing rows, rows also felt very, very solid. I'm not looking to put a ton of weight on. I can do a little over a plate, but it did feel really good. Keep in mind, the barbell, guys, only weighs 15 kilograms. Okay, that's a little over 30 pounds. So when you're doing the math with your lifts, keep that in mind. It's not a 45-pound bar. I do wish that on the barbell they could offer, I don't know, it's just like when you're doing, any standard barbell, it has the lines to where you're trying to figure out where to do each lift. Like, it's weird trying to figure out where to put my hand placement on this bar. So I wish they had almost like I wish they could just put a standard 45-pound bar on this machine so you don't have to worry about that. But again, cutting costs, I get it, but it's a little annoying. But overall too, like even doing like a heavier rack pull, is there a little bit of instability when I was doing that? I had over 3 plates when I was doing that. There's going to be a little bit of a shake. Okay, it's a 2x2 14 gauge steel rack. This thing is not going to be the most stable piece of equipment ever. It's not. It's a budget piece. But is it going to tip over? Is it going to break on me? Honestly, I felt like not bad. I felt honestly like it was pretty solid for what it can handle for a little over $1,000 piece with all its functionality. So I obviously am kind of going to save the time in doing exercises in the front of the rack because honestly, my main things is obviously longer spotter arms, so that adds a little bit more of a safety feature. But again, this is 14 gauge steel. Anyone out there, advanced power lifter, not for you. It's not. All right. But let's just talk overall how I feel about this kind of system in my garage gym. Now, keep in mind, okay, I've been working with Ritfit for months now, and they are really good about taking criticism. And I feel like I gave a lot in this because, again, there's ways to fix things at a very low cost to make this even a better rack at, that budget price. Because if you're looking for something, in the higher end, Ritfit is never going to offer you that. They're meant for budget items. That's what they're here for. And this is, if you're watching this video, this is why, because you're in that price tag. Okay. I honestly think this machine is not bad at all. Even doing the basic things of just adding aluminum pulleys, adding some grip to the pull-up bar will make a massive difference in this home gym space of consumers out there. And that's such a cheap cost that they can do. Honestly, don't think this thing is bad. Now, as an advanced lifter, okay, would I, have to move on to something else? Probably eventually, but I personally feel like most people, 95% of people in the home gym will get by just fine having this in their garage gym. And again, you always can upgrade later on if you feel like you're making a lot of great progress, you really like working out from home, you're like, you know what, I got something budget just to try out. I'm really satisfied with my progression. I want to get something that's more 11 gauge steel, 3x3. That's fine. You could always, give this to someone else, let them use it or sell it, make some money, and then move on to something else if that's what you're thinking. But again, I am honestly thinking this is not a bad piece for people out there in the home gym. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this Ritfit M1 and what you want. Any comments or questions you have for me, let me know. Okay, I try to do my best to be honest and unbiased with this machine because I do honestly really like Ritfit's customer service, the marketing team, because they are very willing to work on fixing things to make a better product for the home gym goer. So respect to them for doing that. And excited to bring out content for you guys soon on Luke's Garage Gym. This is Luke for Luke's Garage Gym. See you guys later.